You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com. And now, it's time for the show that breaks down the options market from unusual activity alerts to market analysis, strategy overviews, listener questions, and much more. If it involves puts and calls, then our all-star panel will break it down. It's time to hit the Option Block with your host, Mark Longo from the Options Insider Media Group, and co-hosts Uncle Mike Tosaw from St. Charles Wealth Management, along with Mark the Greasy Meatball Sebastian and Andrew the Rock Lobster Giovinazzi from OptionPit.com. The Option Block is brought to you by Tasty Trade. You take the unbeaten path. You root for the away team. You wear shorts in winter. You don't put ketchup on a hot dog. So why wouldn't you trade with a broker that lets you go your own way? Tasty Trade. Stocks, options, futures, and more. You choose. You trade. Chart moves with hundreds of custom indicators. Stare at the candles till you see them in your sleep. See it, click it, trade it on mobile, web, or desktop. Supported by a trade desk that knows how traders think. The data, the tools, the knowledge. Get what you need to make smart moves. Go to tastytrade.com/pod to see for yourself, genius. Tasty Trade Incorporated is a registered broker-dealer and member of FINRA, NFA, and SIPC. And now, get ready to hit the Option Block.
All right, everybody. That music means we are back. It is Monday. Hope you had a good turkey day here. Hope you had a fun time last week with friends and family. Now you're back and ready to rock out here for the first trading week of December. My name, of course, Mark Longo from theoptionsinsider.com, as well as from the network upon which all you folks are mainlining these days. Remember, if you like what you hear, throw a like, a star, a comment. If you're not listening to the full network already, what are you doing? Check it all out. And of course, if you want to go above and beyond, theoptionsinsider.com/pro, the place to go to learn more. As we learn who's joining us today, it's the Monday episode, so we are joined once again by the uncleest of Mikes, Mr. Uncle Mike Tosaw. Hopefully he dumped his turkey futures right after the show last week. And then we have, of course, the rockingest of lobsters, Mr. Andrew Giovinazzi from OptionPit.com. I introduce them now, listeners, because it is time to kick off our trading week in high style with a little bit of 80s trivia. Here we go. All right, gentlemen, get your hands on your buzzers. It is time for some 80s trivia goodness. And today's trivia question, since last week was, of course, Thanksgiving. We were off for the Thanksgiving holiday last week. Seemed appropriate to have an 80s Thanksgiving-themed trivia question, which goes to the realm of films. In particular, this is the seminal film most people associate, I think, with this holiday these days. Came out pretty much right around Thanksgiving Day in 1987. It starred John Candy and Steve Martin. I almost said Steve Buscemi. And Steve Martin. Buzz. There we go. Oh, Tosaw typed in first. So, Uncle Mike, what film am I talking about? The seminal Thanksgiving film, sir.
I'm going to go with Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yes. Yes, that is the one. Pretty much the only Thanksgiving film.
As soon as you said John Candy, I didn't even hit the damn buzz button. Fuck. So bad.
It is
so bad.
1 point for Tosaw. Let me mark that down.
You say that so disappointingly.
No, I'm just writing it in, but I'm just
like,
trying to.
Oh wow, planes, trains, and automobiles, and yet in my head I say it, but I don't hit the buzz button.
At this point, we have like 3 games left, so Rock Lobster, you gotta pull something out of the hat. I think at this point, you might have to just buzz in the second I start speaking and just roll the dice. I don't know. That one was doable. A great film. I haven't seen it in forever. I was thinking this year I need to rewatch that movie. That's just a fantastic movie. So I did try watching that quote-unquote horror film called Thanksgiving. I got about 5 minutes into it. I was like, this is atrocious. Turn that off. So, yes, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Still the seminal Thanksgiving film. Unless you have another write-in, listeners, hit us up, let us know as we keep on rolling right on into the trading block.
It's time to break down the latest topics, trades, and trends in the world of options. It's time for the Trading Block.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Trading Block, the portion of the show where we break down what's lighting up our tapes this first trading week, this first trading day here of December. Our market's hot out of the gate to kick off December. Well, kind of depends where you're looking. If you're looking solely at the NASDAQ, if you live, breathe, and die in the NASDAQ, then yeah, you're having a hot start to the month, listeners. NASDAQ up nearly a full percentage point, about 0.95% out there right now. Then you got the S&P kind of playing the laggard, up about 0.25%, so respectable, but not super hot, off the highs it hit earlier today. And then we have the Dow off about 0.33%, so Dow continuing its struggles out there. And to add a little bit more red to the screen, we've got small caps off nearly 0.2% as we kick off the show. So a decidedly mixed start to the December trading season. If you were looking for your Santa Claus rally thinking it was going to kick off today, you're going to have to wait a little bit, it seems like, out there. And of course, all this, at least mostly green we've seen since our last show last Monday, has led to vol coming in another whopping 2 points, pretty much exactly 2 points. We're at about 13.5 when we kicked off the show. So down 2 points from where we were on last Monday's show prior to the holiday. So vol continuing to get squeezed out of this market out here, listeners. VVIX also coming back down to about 88. It's down 6 points from where it was this time last week. Still frothy. Still something you should pay attention to, but coming off its highs north of 100 not too long ago. Let's go around the horn. Let's start with our winner for this week. And it seems like, unless the Rock Lobster can pull a rabbit out of his hat, our winner for the 2024 trivia season. But again, not done yet. Mr. Uncle Mike, sir, if you have any enduring memories of the seminal Thanksgiving film known as Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, have at it. And then B, sir, what's catching your eye in today's mixed market?
Well, I mean, it inspired me as a kid. I wanted to grow up to be a shower curtain ring salesman, but that career path...
Didn't we all?
I don't know. Has anyone ever met a shower curtain ring salesman ever?
I don't think they actually exist. I mean, there's people who sell showers and accessories, I'm sure, and one of those could be shower curtain rings. I don't know if anyone specifies particularly in shower curtain rings.
I don't know, but if there ever was an opportunity to be a shower curtain ring salesman, I'd have to investigate that career path. By gosh, but no, it's always a laugh with John Candy. My favorite John Candy movie was actually The Great Outdoors. Anyone who's from the Chicago area, growing up, a lot of times you go to northern Wisconsin, you go up north. That's kind of like a popular vacation area. Some people go to like an Eagle River or a Minocqua, or some people go to Door County, but northern Wisconsin is a very popular area for Chicago's suburbanites. And the Wisconsin people have names for us. But that's a topic for another show. But The Great Outdoors is my favorite John Candy movie. By far, I identify with a lot of those things in that movie. And my favorite part is when John Candy ate the old 96er. And if you haven't seen The Great Outdoors, highly recommend it. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is great, but I'm a great outdoors man myself. Not trying to get off topic on John Candy movies, but that's kind of where we lead. In the markets today, it's definitely mixed. I'm just looking at some of our triple income stocks that we sell covered calls on, and some of them are up, some of them are down. We have, for example, the bank stock tongue's twisted. JP Morgan is down 1% on the day. However, Microsoft is up 1.6% on the day. Qualcomm is up almost 3% on the day. Taiwan Semiconductor, it's up over 5% on the day. Waste Management, that's a garbage stock if I've ever seen one. LOL. That's down over 1% on the day. So we have ups, we have downs, and overall with the S&P 500 in and of itself, up 13 points on the day. So not a lot of movement on the entire market, but there is a lot of movement in various underlyings within the S&P. So it's kind of a market's doing a lot of shifting today, apparently. That's what it looks like. Precious metals, silver is down roughly 20 cents on the day, so not a huge mover by any means. Gold's down just under 1% on the day. Bonds are flat. So I would say from a macro level, from a 10,000 foot view, not a lot's happening. But within the market itself, there is a lot happening of things going pretty significantly higher, things going fairly lower. Tesla is up over 3% on the day. We have Facebook's up almost 3% on the day. And then we have the losers on the other side of it. So overall, a lot of action, but it's kind of an exciting road to nowhere, I guess. And that's what I'm seeing today.
You have inspired us, sir. Mentioning the great outdoors got me thinking. I was thinking about this last week, too, thinking about Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Just what a great oeuvre the John Candy oeuvre is on and of itself. He had made a lot of great movies. The Great Outdoors is probably not up there for me. I liked Uncle Buck as a kid. That was a great one.
Love that one.
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is an awesome one. He actually is in Home Alone. Yeah, we put some others out there. Armed and Dangerous, he used to do those with Eugene Levy, if everyone forgets about those. He had a lot of great movies back then. So you know what? We put it out to the audience, Uncle Mike. We got a little flash poll going right now. What is your favorite John Candy movie? So we'll see. We'll have the folks write in. They are the ultimate arbiters at the end of the day, Uncle Mike. They will tell us what the best, the three choices we gave you right now. The three choices we gave them are Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Great Outdoors, and Uncle Buck, and then other. They can write in their own others. So we'll see what they choose, listeners. Mr. Rock Lobster, if you have any enduring thoughts on the oeuvre that is John Candy, and indeed Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, have at it. And then B, or maybe you have another seminal Thanksgiving film that you prefer. I can't think of any. And then B, what's catching your eye in a mixed market to start December, sir?
I seem to remember Steve Martin and John Candy somehow having to share like a twin bed or something in that movie.
Yes, that's one of the better scenes. Yes, that when they're going the wrong way down the highway.
That was just John's kind of large, So that probably was,
Those aren't the pillows.
Kind of, what did he say? That isn't my shoulder.
Those aren't the pillows.
Those aren't pillows. Is the famous line from that.
Yes. So again, we just lost our G rating thanks to me. But anyway, John Candy, funny, almost always funny. Died way too early. But anyway, go see a John Candy movie. Have some fun. Smile. That's when movies were funny. I'm trying to think of a recent movie that was actually funnier than any John Candy movie, and I struggle right now. But I'm sure the listeners will put something in. I don't think I've watched a first run movie in I don't even know how long. But anyway, Top Gun. Top Gun 2 was the last one. And then before that, I couldn't even tell you. Anyway. So, as far as the market goes, I'm going to agree with we're back into zone. We're still not in zone one, but the volatility curve is starting to normalize. Thankfully, no crazy pronouncements out of the Biden administration about Ukraine, although there was a couple other ones. But again, that's enough to kind of settle VIX. We had a kind of a normal weekend effect where the trading day catches up with the volatility, and it looks like vol was higher this morning, and then it spent the whole rest of the day going down. So that's actual volatility per strike going down for the most part. So we're trying to get back to where we closed Friday. That's kind of how it's setting up right now. And what I'm surprised is, I guess everybody's tired of buying tech, but they're not tired of buying Apple. And the value, it's what's funny, something interesting. Go back and search, I believe, on the internet. And I think it was Michael Saylor. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure he was talking about the valuation of Apple 5 or 6 years ago. And he's like, listen, iPhones are, people like go to bed with their iPhone and, because they look at their phones online or whatever. And he's like, they're not going to get rid of them. Like, you can't, this is much more than just a phone. Very prophetic in I thought that was, again, I saw it on Twitter. Saylor was talking about, Apple's valuation, if it can keep going, and if people, and why people upgrade their phones. So I thought that was kind of, again, but Apple, like, it keeps going up. You can, I don't own as much Apple as I used to, because heck, I thought, how could it keep going up? 30 times PE, whatever, is going to keep going up. Apparently, yes. So at least for right now, and as we've said in years past on this show, hard for the market to go down when Apple goes up. Short the market at your peril when traders are buying more Apple. So you look at that. I do have a funny anecdote. So right now, Walmart trades at a higher PE ratio than Apple or Amazon. Actually, it trades at a higher PE ratio than, I believe, any of the Mag 7. I have to look at my numbers, but I know there's at least 5 of the Mag 7. Throw in the Mag 8 with Broadcom. But that is something to behold. Now, and usually when I see information like that, Mark and I were talking about this morning, I ask why. Why is Walmart getting that valuation? So I don't have an answer yet. But I thought it was very interesting. Also, I guess Walmart becoming more of it has to be more than just becoming a retail internet powerhouse. So anyway, I thought that was interesting. I thought that was an interesting statistic that a stock like Walmart is getting that kind of a bid relative to the other Mag 7 stocks. Although Walmart's $700 billion market cap, and a lot of the Mag 7s are $1 trillion or higher. So anyway, there it is. But as of right now, the market is liking what it sees. It doesn't appear that it's having problems with the president-elect's latest cabinet choices, because we keep rallying. So I think also, I think there was a lot of gloom and doom predicted, and really it hasn't come to pass yet, which is good. So I'm all for this. I'm all for stocks just going up. I'm an equity owner, and it certainly works for me. So this works. But as of right now, going into the holiday season, this is kind of shaping up like a post-presidential race holiday season, and generally there's a lot of change of person in the office. People have high hopes and expectations and stuff. Generally, that bleeds into stocks. So we'll see if it continues. But right now, hey, what the heck? Be happy. It's Christmas season.
Who are you, and what have you done with our resident curmudgeon?
True.
Rock Lobster. Yeah. All right. I'll see if I can shine some cold water on this rainbows and unicorns parade you got going on over here, Mr. Rock Lobster. All right, let's go out to the markets today. Are they shining cold water on all this madness? Listen, I guess we'll find out. Well, let's go out to VIX land first. And VIX actually started out the day kind of hot. We've been seeing VIX kind of a bit of a laggard of late. In fact, a week or two ago, I remember thinking, man, is our system broken? Is it VIX barely at 100,000 contracts midway through the show? That's where it was. Today, looking a lot more robust, 475,000 contracts on the tape. The ADV 880, so a good way towards its ADV already. Looks like the big dog today, listeners, is the Jan 1 by 2.5. Looks like it's the Jan 20, 42.5. 1 by 2.5. Selling 40,000 of the Jan 20s. Buying 100,000 of the Jan 42.5s. Doing it for $1.04 on the 20s and 30 cents on the 42.5s. Now, there is some OI on this. They could be unwinding, but as I recall, I do believe they are adding more to it. That is the direction they have done it in the past. You like that, listeners? Sell 1 by 2.5 of the upside. Still got a bit of a credit there to do that. So, of course, you got 22.5 handles of pure unadulterated VIX upside to deal with if something should happen. So, a pretty wide one, but an interesting one nonetheless. SPY, 4.25 million. So, right about where we expect it to be this time of day. Little light, maybe. The ADV, almost 7.6 million out there. So, SPY kind of trudging along. The S, same deal, 1.61 million. So, a little light. We expect 1.75 this time of day. The ADV, 3.15 million. Small cap, 707,000. So, almost exactly halfway to their ADV, which is 1.48 million. And the Qs looking a little robust, 2.9 million, as you would expect. The Qs were feeling their oats to the downside to start the show, to the upside, listeners. Up 2.9 million on the tape right now for the Qs. The ADV, 4.14 million out there, listeners. Let's go out to single names. Let's see what's lighting up our tape out here in single name land, shall we? Is it a banger day? The answer is, it's respectable. Any day we're north of 300K to break into the top 10. That is respectable. Just barely north of that today, but we'll take what we can get. That gets us to Softy, 302,000 contracts, the number 10 spot, 430.75, up $7.30 or 1.75%. So Softy feeling its oats out there today, helping to lift the tech names up to rarefied air. Number 9, it's Meta, as Uncle Mike was talking about, also feeling its oats out there today. 590.75, up $16.50 or nearly 3% today. Good for 330,000 contracts. And the number 9 spot, number 8, out to crypto we go. It is Mara. This name, if you've been listening to the crypto rundown for a while, it's been all over the place. Threatening 15 to the downside, threatening 30 to the upside. Giving back some today, 25.10 off about 2.33 or about 8.5%. So looks like those 30s we were talking about for a while now, not looking good, at least today. But hey, wait 5 minutes. We'll see where Mara is. Number 8, 377,000 contracts. Number 7, it's the Amazonians, 210 even, up 213 or a little over 1%. So looking pretty good out there. Black Friday looking pretty good for the retailers out there. 470,000 contracts. And the number 7 spot, number 6, AMD, 141.25, up about exactly $4 or nearly 3%. Good for 471,000 contracts. And the number 6 spot. Number 5, a newcomer once again to our top 10. We talked about them for a while, then they kind of went away. Now they're back in again. It's Intel, 472,000 contracts. 24.64, up 60 cents or about 2.5% today. Looks like they kicked their CEO to the curb, and apparently the market liking that. Saying thanks, but no thanks. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Intel number 5, 472,000. Is this the beginning of a resurgence for Intel, listeners? Every other chick stock on the planet, every other tech stock on the planet, really, just had a rampaging year. Intel, not so much. Obviously, the shareholders getting a little fed up. Number 4 is the Fruit Company, 684,000 contracts. 239.5, up 217 or nearly a full percent. That PE, the Rock Lobster was talking about, 39 1/3 right now. So interesting stuff. Let's just pull out for point of reference what the Rock Lobster was just talking about. Yeah, the PE for Walmart, 48. So a wee bit richer out there in Walmart land. Walmart, the bastion of overvaluation, perhaps. Wow, interesting. Who knew? But we're talking right now about number 4. It's the Fruit Company, 684,000 contracts. 239.5 is where it's trading right now. Number 3, yes, I said number 3. It is Tesla, 1.25 million contracts, 356.71, up $11.50 or 3.3%. Why? Because it's a day that ends in Y. Listeners, someone else changing their price targets here on Tesla. Day that ends in Y, number 3. 1.28 million. Number 2, what could kick Tesla to the curb? It's SMCI. Man, what a run this one's been on in the past month. $18 just a few weeks ago. 42.31, up another 9.67 or 30% just today. Apparently they found no signs of fraud in this. Remember, they were talking about accounting malpractice. Once you hear that, listeners, accounting fraud, that usually is the death knell for a company. So SMCI recovering. Let's see, how low did it get from all of that? It looks like the low was about 17.25. And then since then, it has been on the rampage. So if you bought the 20 calls probably would have been pricey. If you even went cheap, you bought the 30 calls. Hopefully, as long as they weren't in November, you're looking pretty good right now, listeners. Number 2, SMCI, 1 1/3 million contracts. They do have earnings, looks like, coming up here as well. So a lot of things adding to the fun out here in SMCI land. And then number 1, listeners, the big dog, once again, even though not looking that big out there today, it is NVIDIA, 1 3/4 million contracts, 138.5, so it's trading up about 50 cents today. Got a good again for 1.73 million contracts on the tape. So interesting day out there. Is it an interesting day on the earnings front? If you're saying, you know what, isn't earnings season done? No, you would be incorrect, listeners. Still some names popping off this week. We got Salesforce and MRVL on Tuesday. Wednesday, if you're down with a little online dog food, it's Chewy. Also got Foot Locker, Uncle Mike's favorite place to shop, his fashion mecca, Dollar Tree, as well as Cracker Barrel and Five Below. So that one's a little bit too rich for Uncle Mike's blood, but maybe for you high rollers out there, Five Below. And then Thursday, back to Uncle Mike territory at Dollar General and Build-A-Bear, interesting, as well as Lululemon and Ulta Beauty. All that popping off this week. Let's look at a couple really quickly here. Let's go to Salesforce. I like their ticker, CRM. If you know, you know. December 3rd after the bell. 3:30 is where they were trading. Pricing in $21.90 for that at-the-money straddle. In the past, they moved $23.65. So a little bit light on the juice front here for CRM. A MRVL, same day, $92.69 is where they were trading. They were pricing in, get this, $9.06. In the past, they moved $9.08. So pricing in pretty much exactly. They're saying past is exactly prologue for MRVL. Is that correct, listeners? I guess we'll find out. Foot Locker, 4th before the bell, $25.15 is where they were trading. They're pricing in $3.94. In the past, they moved $4.33. So interesting. In spite of the data we've seen, even this cycle, folks taking a little bit off the top. Is that the case in Five Below, a.k.a. the place that's too rich for Uncle Mike's blood? Well, the answer is no. Spoiler alert, $92.70 is where the stock was trading. They're pricing in $10.89. In the past, they've moved $6. So they are pricing in a banger here. Wow. Banger for Five Below. Is that warranted? Listen, I might have to investigate that after the show a little bit. What is afoot in Five Below, listeners? Lululemon, like themselves a little sheer yoga pants. 5th after the bell, 320 2/3 is where it was trading. They're pricing in 27 2/3. In the past, they moved 23.42. So fair amount more juice in Lululemon. If you like yourself a little bit of beauty, Ulta Beauty. I know Rock Lobster's always shopping there. Can't get enough of his beauty supplies. $386.64. They're pricing in $26.20. In the past, they moved $18.84. Wow. It's a lot of juice for Ulta Beauty. I might have to go dig in there as well. Let's go to Dollar General. Let's see if the bargain basement stores, if they're all adding in more juice. 5th before the bell. 77 3/4 was where it was trading. They're pricing in $8.91. In the past, they moved $7.13. So, wow, about almost $1.80 worth of extra juice in Dollar General. So they're pricing in. One of two things has to be true, listen. Either they're pricing in a lot of juice or the cycle that just fell off for our long-term average. Remember, we are going back a full 12 cycles, so 3 years. That last cycle that we dropped off, maybe that was just extremely, extremely juicy. That took a lot of juice with it. But one or the other. I need to go digging in a little bit. But either way, it seems like they're pricing in a fair amount of juice out here in the Dollar General and indeed the dollar store sector. Is that warranted? I guess we shall find out. Right now, our season is a banger, listeners. People thought this might be a sleepy one. Nope. 122% right now. Man, that is a heck of a lot of juice. Our long-term average, like we said, going back 12 quarters or 3 years, 114%. So, wow. Buying vol has been the order of the day. Is that also the order of the day in some weird and wild paper? I guess let's find out, listeners. It is time for the Odd Block.
It's time to break down the most interesting, unusual, and downright questionable options activity that's been identified by theoptionsinsider.com. It's time for the Odd Block.
All right, and before we get there, Uncle Mike, this is why I say our listeners are the ultimate arbiters of all things. They are a savvy bunch out there. I knew we were going to forget some good John Candy movies, and they've already written in for Stripes, Uncle Mike. How can we forget Stripes? Also a good one there with Bill Murray. So yes, a Harold Ramis joint, if you will, listeners. So yes, write-ins for Stripes coming in on our. That's why I love our audience, you folks. On the cutting edge of all things, including John Candy films, apparently. We'll get the results in a little bit for how you folks are voting. Let's go out to the realm of odd business right now, listeners. Let's see. Where are we going to kick off our journey this week in the realm of oddities? Where is our Eye of Sauron fixing its steely gaze first? You know what? Let's go out to a newcomer. I feel like some new blood here on the old Odd Block today. So that brings us to Cabaletta with an A. Cabaletta Bio Inc. Ticker symbol CABA, C-A-B-A. Obviously a biotech out of Philly, of all places. Trading $4.20, up about 40 cents or nearly 10%. So a nice day for Cabaletta Bio. You keep saying Cabaletta Bio. Out there today. My old Italian pronunciation is kicking in, listeners. Let's go back a year, see how it's looking. Oh, this one's been on the tier. It was $16 a year ago. So spoiler alert, bad year, off about $12 or about 75%. It actually got up higher, got up to 26 and a third. Looks like it kissed that level back in February of this year. And then pretty much ever since February, this thing has been a dumpster fire. From 26 and a third, it actually got down all the way to $1.76, actually after the election, November 21st. So that was its low for the year. So I guess very much a glass half full. If you want to look at it over the past month, you got to go a little bit beyond the month. But you got to go all the way out to, no, not that far. You go just the last few weeks. It's more than doubled. Just November 21st. It was $1.76, like we said, now $4.21. So a good couple of weeks. An absolutely dumpster fire year, though. And listen, let's see. What do we find out here today? Looks like somebody may be saying, you know what? I'm going to take advantage of a little bit of this upside, and I'm going to write a little bit of a line in the sand to the downside and see what I get. This market was pretty tight, so I might want to go look and see if they were parking a bid and they just got filled. But I don't think so. Look, give them the way this name's performed of late. I think someone is hitting this bid. They looks like sold 2,072 of the Dees 2.5 puts, so a full $1.70 out of the money puts now. And they got 35 cents for these bad boys. That is a 356 vol. You might be saying, man, that's nonsense. I would sell that too. And you might be right. But also remember, the stock was $1.76 just 2 weeks ago. So those puts were worth 80 plus cents not too long ago. So just something to bear in mind. No earnings in this cycle all the way out to March. So we got a ways to go before we hear another announcement from Cabaletta Bio. I'm not sure what type of bio they are, but they've been rocking and rolling in particularly of late. Mr. Rock Lobster, what say you about everyone's new favorite to the network, Cabaletta Bio? And you think they're buying or selling these puts, and do you like them?
Well. CA, what is this? Cabaletta. Now, this is new.
Yes, a new
Diablo.
A new blood.
I don't think new blood for the Cabaletta. Oh, well, although it is some obscure biotechnology stock that went from $2 to $5. There is that. But if I look at it, these two put, well, those are kind of juicy puts.
Yeah. 356 vol. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm going to assuming dangerous, but I'm going to try it anyway. Somebody just whacked those out for 35 cents. And they said, hey, I'll take that CABA stock at $2. So, again, from a statistical reason, it looks pretty good. What's funny is the volatility on the 5 strike is 400, and the volatility on the 2.5 strike is 305. So there is plenty of juice to go around with the 5 straddle trading $3.20. So there is plenty of volatility to go around. The 7.5 calls are 75 cents. So there you go. You would have to stretch. Yeah, so the 12.5 puts are trading roughly the same. Sorry, the 12.5 calls are trading roughly the same as the 2.5 puts. So it looks like this person kind of wants to get long, and they're going to sell the puts because they're priced like crazy town. But usually, as we have seen with the stock going from $2 to $5, the pricing, there's usually a reason why.
We've been caught in that trap before. Who wouldn't want to sell a 356 vol 35 cent 2.5 puts? And then the stock's 50 cents, and you're like, oh, I see why they were trading for that level. Who doesn't want to do that 2.5, 12.5 risk reversal for even money? That sounds like just free money, Mr. Rock. Why wouldn't you do that? Free money. Free money.
It's all free.
All day long. By the way, listeners, this name discovers and develops targeted cell therapy candidates to potentially cure patients with autoimmune diseases. So there you go, listeners. The more you know out here in CABA Bio. I will say this, if you're looking for a little bit of the old premium harvesting and you don't mind not sleeping between now and the holidays, we're pretty close to it, then CABA Bio might be your huckleberry as we keep on rolling. Let's go out to a name. I believe we've talked about this one before, but it's been a while. This is FSLY Inc. This is a cloud computing name out of San Fran, because where else would you go than the place with the most expensive office space on the planet? FSLY, FSLY, trading 962, up $1.14 or 13.5% just today. So it's been a good day for FSLY. Can't say the same about the year, though. It was trading $18 a year ago, so they're off over $8 or nearly 50% on the year. So a rough year for them. If you go all the way out to February, their high was nearly $26. Then they look even worse. Ooh. And it's been pretty much straight down until about, looks like they hit their nadir back in September 9th, $5.50. And ever since then, they've been kind of, actually, no, they got back down to about 6 1/3, a little bit after the election. So really, they've been rallying since September, but they put it into high gear this last month, going from about 6 1/3 all the way up to 962. So they've had a nice month out here for FSLY as well. Yahoo Finance, why FSLY is one of the best AI stocks to invest in under $10. Yeah, that doesn't sound like someone pumping the stock. But either way, FSLY, someone might be feeling a little bit of this upside love, or maybe Mr. Rock Lobster, maybe they're thinking, you know what? I want to take a little bit off the top, but in case this thing keeps rocking and rolling, I don't want to be left high and dry. Looks like they came in this morning and did almost 2,000, 1,999 to be precise, of the D10 10.5 vertical. Now, they didn't go up marked as spread, but the size is identical, and they went up about 5 minutes apart. So if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, chances are it's probably a waterfowl, listeners. We first noticed the first print was the D10s. By the way, these are all expiring on the 6th as well. So exact same expiration this week. Looks like they hit the bid. Actually, not quite. They were 36 cents at 50. Kind of a weird market. They traded for 40 cents. So probably selling those. These are both opening, actually. And then against that, looks like they bought 1,999 of the 10.5s, also expiring this Friday, lifting the offer on those for 30 cents. So kind of a weird one. I mean, the stock has been on the rampage of late. How high did it get? It got up to 1032 this morning. So They were feeling it earlier this morning. In fact, when they sold this vertical, the stock was $9.90. So if it was just a straight up opening call vertical sale, you're selling a 50-cent vertical for a dime. You sold the 10s for 40 cents. You bought the 10 halves for 30 cents. So you're getting a whopping dime for this one. I don't know if the juice is worth the squeeze on this one. The fact that they did it as a vertical versus straight up selling the 10s is also interesting. They clearly weren't comfortable doing that. They didn't want to have the stock take off to 15 and be left holding the bag. So they did the vertical, and as a result, they got a dime. So yeah, I don't know. What are we even doing here, Mr. Rock Lobster? 50-cent vertical for a dime, 4 days to go. Does this get you excited, sir? Hot and bothered?
It is hard to know with the open interest. It's all opening paper. What I'm curious is if they were those. I guess those 8.5s weren't a block. Because there's a lot of just paper going here. I'm just looking right now. No, I would. Yeah, this is all. It is. Yeah. I guess they want to buy the spread for a dime. What else can you say here on this one? Are they? Yeah. I would assume that there, but again, it's hard because, maybe they just paid a dime for the spread, but now those 10 calls are 31.34. So I get the feeling they paid a dime, but right now it's still trading a dime. Lucky for them. So.
You think they bought it for a dime? Because it looks like execution-wise, looks like they could have sold it for a dime because they.
No, I agree. It is kind of that. It is sort of in the middle there. Selling that. Yep. But yeah, they got. Yeah, I guess they did sell it for, but like what? Just makes no sense that way. Like, why would you sell that for?
Now you realize my conundrum, sir. Why it is in the ad block.
Yes. And usually we get to a similar place on this. Why sell it? I don't have an answer for that unless they have some secret handshake technique that they're using that I'm not aware of. But
I guess gun to my head, make me trade this nonsense. I probably would want to buy it just because it's more exciting. You could do more with it. You're going to shell out your 10 cents. I get it. But they were in the money just a few minutes ago earlier today. So
yeah. And Fastly is that one of those stocks that was a growth stock, and it was like stock of the future. And I remember being like in the meme days, like over $100. Yeah, it was. It traded $120 in the meme days. And since then, it is now $10 with a big candle today, $9.75. So interesting. It could be. This company could be on the growth train again. It has had a 3-year nap, let's say.
In which case, buy all of that vertical you can for a dime, listeners. Get in there while the getting is good.
Yeah, but I agree with you. Pricing wise, it does look like the paper was the seller.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I don't love it really either way, listeners, but that's why it comes on the odd block. That we profile the weird paper for you folks to decide whether you like it or not. Let's go out to another name we haven't talked about in a while. This is ACHR Aviation, ticker symbol ACHR. You probably remember them. Another one of these names doing the vertical takeoff and landing planes. Man, they are having a rough day today. 717 off 237 or nearly 25%. Apparently, Barclays came out and said no bueno on them. So that's kind of lighting a dumpster fire out here on this name. So yeah, not a good day for ACHR Aviation on the year. Let's see. Actually, well, they were having a hell of a month. looks like they're cooling off now. A year ago was $6.50, and they had pretty much sold off all year down to the election of $3.25, right around election day. And then since then, they went on a freaking tear all the way up to $9.57 last week, November 29th. So this name was really feeling the post-election buzz. Are they feeling Trump? Is someone connected to the administration here? What are we doing? Is this another Vance and Palantir? This thing just off to the races right around the election day. Looks like there was some deal here, $500 million deal, but I don't know that's enough to account for this supersized stock chart And they hit about 984 last week, listeners. And then I guess Barclay is saying, cool your jets, quite literally, about Archer. And coming off the other side today, hard, listeners, off, giving up 25% of that. Still obviously up quite a bit just over the last, since November 6th, it was 321. And it is 718 right now. So still over 2x what it was back then. But man, what a wild ride. And what do we got going on this morning, Mr. Rocklops? Looks like somebody may be thinking this upside is here to stay, taking advantage of a little bit of wing clipping here. Again, playing fast and loose, only going out to this Friday, the 6th. The D 7.5 calls, they said, how are they? They got 55 cents at 60, so pretty tight for this name. And they said, we'll pay 60 cents for 2,000 of these bad boys. The stock was a dime lower, 708 at the time. There's no earnings in this, obviously, before the end of the week. The earnings are in February, so this is just a straight-up roll of the dice, Mr. Rock Lobster. If you liked selling those puts before at like a 330 vol, 356 vol, then you're going to love buying these calls, Mr. Rock Lobster, at a 254 volatility. Archer 7.5s expiring this Friday. Mr. Rock Lobster, what say you?
The kind of interesting, these stocks that are like, I would say drone and aviation related. I've traded a couple of these that have all just done some moonshot stuff. I would say worth keeping an eye on. Like, you never know with, an FAA, or that might be a little more friendly to, I think probably flying a drone is with auto drive is probably easier than cars, right? Because you got sonar around and, there's like nobody kind of anyway. But I can see why, like, all of a sudden the interest in this just flew, no pun intended. But I could see why someone would want to buy these calls, although I would not trade duration that close on something like this, because you could be kind of like you're either in all the way or you're just zapped on them. But there's 100,000 contracts traded in the December 06 cycle, so maybe they know something. But it's not an unreasonable shot given how the thing has been trading. But it's still like the stocks. But in this week, you could close 5, and then next week it's 10 again, and your timing sucks. So you have to be extremely right.
I'm just reading through some of the recent news to see if there was any actual catalyst for this very, very aggressive run it's been on post-election. And the people are writing it up saying, I believe the current bull run may end soon due to the lack of immediate news to fuel the shareholder excitement. So it's just shot up like a rocket, Mr. Rock Lobster, on apparently no news, just optimism post-election. So coming back down to earth a little bit out here, listeners. Somebody liking the 7.5s, though, for 60 cents. Let's see what you like what Uncle Mike has in store for us, listeners. It's Monday. It's time for the strategy block.
It's time to dispense options, wit, wisdom, and education. It's time for the strategy block.
All right, everybody, welcome to the strategy block. Uncle Mike, sir, our audience stepping in, reminding us of stripes for the John Candy oeuvre, another good one out there. So it's got some good write-ins. I'll reveal. Ooh, the polling is interesting, Mr. Rocklop, Mr. Uncle Mike. I'll get to that in a second. First, what do you got in store for us this week, sir?
Oh, I mean, I don't even know if I've ever even. I think that one love story that he had towards the end of his life, I don't know if that movie was really that good. I forget the name of it. But I can't really think of any bad John Candy movies. He was a really funny guy, and all these years later, still miss the guy from all the laughter he provided.
Oh, he was the sidekick in Spaceballs. He was Chewie. I forgot about that.
Oh yeah. Oh man, the guy's been everywhere, so it's unbelievable. So yes, The Great Outdoors is my favorite for reasons I mentioned at the beginning of the show. But gotta say, Uncle Buck is amazing. The guy made good movies. Let's just be honest with it. But the thing that I want to talk about today is that with markets at higher levels, And actually, in hindsight, now that I think about it, the thing that I do need to mention right now, just to verify this, and it actually does hold true. I forgot to say this at the beginning of the show because I was so enamored with all the John Candy talk, but never before in the history of the entire stock market has there ever been a better time to sell than today. We are at new all-time highs. And if you want to really recognize that and respect the market for its height, knowing that you've never had more to lose than you have today, and the history of the entire stock market, but you still think it can go up, what are some things that you can do? Well, we've talked about getting long and buying some protective puts, but another variation of something that you can do today, this is not a recommendation. I'm just literally pulling this up as I go on my option chain. Let's say you wanted to get long SPY. Right now, SPY is trading at 603, almost 604. One thing you can do is you can go out to March. Once again, I am totally making this up as I go. Don't look anything into it of what I'm actually doing. I'm just trying to give the audience an idea on what the strategy can be. You can go out to March, roughly 100 days out, 109 days out, and you can sell a 550 put. You can get roughly $4.45 for it. Now, with that, you're taking on $550 of risk for doing that. However, that is $53 less than actually owning the underlying. But you want to get some upside, you say. Not only do you want to have just that income, but you want to have some type of upside. Well, the other thing with which you can do with that $4.50 approximately is you can take it and immediately buy a 640 call option for March. That's what's known as a risk reversal. And by doing that, you're giving yourself $53. You have all the upside of the market after 640. Small debit, I think it comes out to like a 10-cent debit, something like that. But by doing that, what you can actually do is you are actually giving yourself $53 of protection because your obligation won't go into play so long as SPY is above 550. And as a trade out, you're giving up the first $36 to $37 of upside. If SPY goes above 640, you get all of that. Now, what I like about the risk reversal is you can trade into other things as it goes. Let's say it starts going up right away. Then you can maybe buy to close the put option for a profit, and then maybe sell a call above the 640 level and create a free call spread. Then there's just a whole world of things with which you can do depending on how the market reacts. Once again, though, the risk on this would be $550. The reward is unlimited, but you're trading away any upside between the current price and 640. Something to check out, something that I like to do at times. And back to you, Mark.
All right, listeners, now it's time to go around the block.
It's time to tell you what we'll be watching on our trading screens until the next episode. It's time for Around the Block.
All right, everybody, as we're coming into the end of the show, markets pretty much hanging out pretty close to where they were to start the show. VIX cash hanging out right around 13.5, S&P up about a quarter, NASDAQ up about 0.93%, Dow off about 0.2%. So Dow mitigating some of its losses out there a little bit, but still mostly hanging out pretty much exactly where we were to start the show. And you folks, that's why I like you folks. You're always reminding us of all sorts of great things out here. The voting is hot and heavy in our John Candy flash poll. Just going to be good. Pretty much, we'll keep it open when the podcast. We'll have a go till tomorrow. How about that, listeners? You folks listening on demand can play too. We don't want to leave you folks out as well. But right now, it's a hot tie with second place. Pretty much a slugfest between planes, trains, and automobiles and the great outdoors. And other, like I said, a lot of write-ins, including Stripes. Forgot about Stripes. Stripes is a great one out there as well. Just looking over his oeuvre here. Who's Harry Crumb? He was like a detective or novelist. That's a good one out there. I forgot about that one as well. He's in Home Alone. People forget about that. I forgot that he was in JFK, which is his weird little rare dramatic turn out there. Summer Rental, I remember liking that one as a kid. Armed and Dangerous as well. So a lot of good ones in the John Candy oeuvre. But the winner right now, Uncle Mike, with fully 50%, fully half of our audience, they're going Uncle Buck, Uncle Mike. Are you down with that? Or are you outraged that your Great Outdoors isn't getting?
Not outraged. Uncle Buck was hilarious. So, I mean, there's... Yeah, I think that's a good choice.
Kind of hard to go against Uncle Buck, and he is the star of that one too. So it's truly a John. He's not sharing the screen with anybody on that one. So there you go, listeners. You folks have spoken. But I do need to watch Planes, Trains, Automobiles. That's the whole genesis of this episode. I need to go back and watch Planes, Trains, Automobiles again because it's just a great movie out there. As we go around the horn, we got a week with some fun ahead of us. Let's start with the Rock Lobster, sir. What are you keeping an eye on for the rest of the week?
I believe we have some non-farm payroll numbers coming. And that just, 6,000 is, wow, look at that, in the rear view mirror, and we're 50 points away from 6,100. So all I know is that it feels like that's the way the cookie is crumbling. So I mean, it's hard to believe, 29 days left to the year. What a year. Crazy freaking year. And yet, once again, after watching this for 35 years now or something like that, with only a few exceptions, stocks end up higher on the year. So there you go. So that's that's the big thing. And this drone space is very curious to me because it keeps lighting up a little bit. So a lot of names in that, but that's about it for now.
Mr. Uncle Mike, same question for you, sir. What are you keeping an eye on until our next episode?
Seeing if we can continue to make new all-time highs. That's probably the main thing that I'm watching right now, and seeing where the market shifts, seeing what names actually are the winners, what are the losers. At some stage, when you see Apple and all these tech names going up, there's going to be some love for some of the boring stocks and the dividend stocks in some way, shape, or form. So seeing how the correlation and the relationship between the different sectors plays out.
And that music means there's no more playing out on the show today, listeners. I'll be coming up in a little bit. We'll be joined by our old pal, Mr. Bill. Talk some crypto fun. Should be a good time. Of course, if you want to keep supporting the show, that's been coming to you for well over a decade, listeners. Keep supporting the folks who support it. Like right now, these days, head on out to Tasty Trade, tastytrade.com/podcast. Tell them we sent you. They'll be excited to hear about that, and keep thanking the folks who keep the shows coming to you. Now let's go around the horn. Mr. Rock Lobster, sir, where should folks go if they want more Rock Lobster goodness in their lives?
Yeah, optionpit.com, 888-TRADE-01. And if you heard this here show, you can get 10% off. And we'll show you how to trade and outperform the market well into 2025 and beyond.
And beyond. Buzz Lightyear, now their new slogan. Option Pit and beyond. Check it out. Optionpit.com. And Mr. Uncle Mike, if folks want to go beyond with you, where should they go? What should they do?
A couple places. Follow me on Twitter at Mike Tosaw, Tosaw. I try to put out a lot of content there. Or if you're looking for a financial advisor who delves in the option products, understands taxation, and actually does long-term investing all under one roof, check out my website, stcharleswealth.com. Set up an appointment with me. Would love to have a conversation with any of our audience members.
There you go, stcharleswealth.com, the place to go. We got to get on out of here. Back again in a little bit to talk all things crypto with our old pal, Mr. Bill. Should be a fun time out there. And then back again with our usual array of content, listeners, until we're back again on Thursday. Flowmaster in hand, another episode of The Option Block. Stay safe out there, everybody.
The Option Block is brought to you by Tasty Trade. You take the unbeaten path. You root for the away team. You wear shorts in winter. You don't put ketchup on a hot dog. So why wouldn't you trade with a broker that lets you go your own way? Tasty Trade. Stocks, options, futures, and more. You choose. You trade. Chart moves with hundreds of custom indicators. Stare at the candles till you see them in your sleep. See it, click it, trade it on mobile, web, or desktop. Supported by a trade desk that knows how traders think. The data, the tools, the knowledge. Get what you need to make smart moves. Go to tastytrade.com/pod to see for yourself, genius. Tasty Trade Incorporated is a registered broker-dealer and member of FINRA, NFA, and SIPC. You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions@theoptionsinsider.com.